to the Saturday Morning Retro Podcast, Episode 3. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G Network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/RatedG4Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G4Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, taking a trip through video game time, Robinson.
What's going on, man? I thought you were gonna say something like Dan just loves retro games or something along those lines.
Also true. That statement also holds true. You love retro games. We love retro games, Dan, and that is what the show is all about. This Saturday Morning Retro. It's a new show. It's episode 3. We take a look back at our game backlog, and we kind of dig deep and play the games that we don't normally get to play, and we talk about them on the show.
It just gives us a chance. It gives us an excuse to play retro games.
Which is great.
And we define anything as retro as anything that's last gen and beyond.
That's right. That's right. So in this case, as of right now, it's the PS3, it's the 360, it's the Wii U, and anything that came before it. So
yeah. I don't think we're going to play any in television games, though.
Oh, says you, Dan. I got a good one lined up for next episode.
Dave, I think since we're doing this, we should get into sort of point in gaming history, right? And in July of 1983, July 15th to be exact, I was only one at this point in time. By the way, I know you were in college.
I was 3 years old in college. I know. I'm a regular Doogie Howser, Dan. Regular Doogie Howser.
You were in college.
I am smart beyond my years. I was still in diapers, and I was going to college.
You're in college. But I didn't know this. I really had to look this up. The Famicom, which later in the States, came out July 15th, 1983. The family computer.
Yep.
Famicom came out in Japan.
Which is the part you didn't know? The fact that it was short for family computer, or that it came out in 83?
That it came out in 83 in Japan.
Okay.
In the summer. I knew it was family computer. I mean, that's just a weird name, Famicom, right?
Right. Well, I mean, when you kind of break it down, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you understand why they did it that way, right? Because I mean, everyone. I want to be. We all know the video game crash happened, right? And they wanted to sort of market this as a toy and as a computer, right? So and that's why the clamshell it went along the lines of a VCR, right? You put in the tape and push it down, right? Just
well, that was a way to that was a way on the American shores to differentiate it, and it was like familiar to American audiences, right? Because we all had the big, like clamp down VCR style thing. They're like, oh, we'll get it into the household like this. We'll kind of subvert it.
Rob the robot.
Well, that too, yeah, right? Because they're like, look, it's a toy. And kids are like, yeah, and the Rob was terrible. But it got kids to buy it.
Rob was terrible.
Yeah. So the other thing that's funny too is that everyone associates Nintendo with Super Mario Brothers, right? That didn't come out until 85, right? That was the pack-in launch title for the North American launch when it was in New York and LA as the initial. But it wasn't on the Famicom till 85 as well. That was 2 years out. It was all those black box Nintendo games, right? Some of them that we didn't get here, but it was very basic titles up until that point. And then Super Mario Brothers kind of blew the doors open. It's crazy. But man, July 15th.
That's crazy. They came out. It came out and one of the most iconic games came out in the summer.
Yeah, well, I think because it's interesting you mention that, because Japan doesn't necessarily celebrate Christmas in the way that we do, right?
Really? This is new. I didn't know this, actually.
Yeah, well, okay. So they have a different dominant religion, right? I think it's I think it's Shintoism is kind of their dominant religion over there, which doesn't believe in Christmas. Even though they do have Christmas events and they do kind of decorate and this and that in some ways, but it's not like a big religious thing. It's not necessarily like a big shopping time for them. It's different. Mm-hmm. So for the systems to align with that holiday doesn't necessarily make sense. So they that's why we get kind of these wacky launches, right? And obviously, if it's a Japanese game maker making a Japanese game console, it's most likely going to come out there first, and then everywhere else. Not these like global launches, right? Because they got to make it like different for the different countries, right? That's why the Nintendo is very different than the Famicom, right? Famicom is white and red, right? With like the little controllers and
that are wired to the system.
Well, there's that too. Yeah. So we definitely got some benefits with the NES.
Well, it's funny that a system that came out in 1983 had already a mic in it, right? Had like a mic that you can yell in for certain games. Every game, like a handful of games actually use that.
Right. Notably, it was on the second controller. Most notably in The Legend of Zelda is the big one. The enemy is the pole voice, right? Would get stunned if you shouted into the microphone, hence the name, like Pole's voice, right? Which is like super interesting. And then in the North American one, they had to change it to just you hit him with arrows. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I never knew that up until recently.
Well, if you want to know the launch titles of the Famicom, Donkey Kong Jr., and Popeye.
3 games at launch. Those are all black box games. They all came out here in North America. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Three titles for launch.
And the Famicom would be the highest selling video game console by the end of 1984.
Of course. So which means it sold over like 1 million units. I think at that point, because the Atari sold over 1 million units, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, in 1983-84, what would be the at least? What would be the Famicom's competition? It wouldn't be the Atari. It would be like
there would be nothing. Like maybe the Coleco. Like everything was crashing.
What was Sega's first console? It wasn't the Master System. It was something else. I forgot. Well,
they didn't call it the Master System, but it was the SG-1000, and the SG-3000 I think is what became the Master System. I think that's right. I think it was the SG-1000, which was like a white and blue console. And then they kind of iterated on it over time. And what we eventually got as the Master System, I think, was the third version.
The SG-1000 came out July 18th, 1983.
There you go, baby. See? It was
there
terrible,
you go.
Apparently.
It came out the same day as the Famicom.
Yeah, there you go. That's wild. That is wild. That I did not know.
Wow. That's according to Wikipedia,
right.
The SG-1000 came out in July 15th, 1983 in Japan, and the Sega Master System came out in October of 1985.
Right. I don't think the SG-1000 did very well. I could be wrong. I don't think it was that great a console. The Master System much better, still not great. I think the Genesis was really the one that like kind of broke them out of there. Like, okay, now we gotta battle. Okay,
well, you know what? In this month in history, the Famicom and the SG-1000 both
crazy.
Came out
on the same day.
Back in 1983.
I would have never guessed.
That's like 37 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, man, time flies. I tell you. Well, now we have all the games. We have all the systems. I don't have an SG-1000. That I have to correct that. By next episode, you never know. I may have one.
Well, you gotta get them. I'm looking at all the iterations. There's the SG-1000, the 1000 Mark II, the 3000, and then the Sega Mark III, which was the Master System, which like we got here. So Jesus, there's a lot. And man, do all of these systems look straight out of the 80s. Like, yeah. It is like, this is the future, and it's like, ooh, okay.
You never know. Coming next episode, I may have an SG-1000.
Okay, well, good on you.
Even though it's expensive.
Right.
Even though it ain't cheap at all. But let's talk about games that we do have, and let's get into our gaming pickups. Well, you know, I'm in my Nintendo Power pickups like mode. I know you're not a big magazine guy. I have.
It's not that I'm not a big magazine guy. It's that if I start collecting magazines, it's going to take up a lot of space because they're big and there's a ton of them. So
that's 280.
I love the Nintendo. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're just talking Nintendo Power, then you got EGM, you got Game Players, you got Sega Visions, you got
official PlayStation magazine in the US,
official Xbox magazine, Edge magazine. Like, where does it stop? Where does it stop?
It doesn't stop, Dave. It doesn't stop. We still got Game Informer right now.
That's exactly why I don't start. Like, I may get like
official Xbox and official PlayStation magazines are still going on, just in the UK. So we could still get those technically.
Right. See, like, well, I'll get like the first issue of Nintendo Power, like as like a thing, because that's important. And maybe the last issue, right? Because that's important.
Yeah,
that's
going to cost you. That last issue is going to cost you.
I know.
I broke the seal on it, and I know someone's cringing that I broke it open. But
hey,
I wanted to read it. Read it.
I get it. So what did you pick up this week? Yeah, that's the question.
All right, so I got some. I got 3 of them. I got some random ones from in the middle. I think I got issues 63 and 64. I think Mortal Kombat Scorpion from Mortal Kombat 2 was on the cover of one of them. But the main one
was probably Mortal Kombat 3, I think.
No, it was Mortal Kombat 2.
Was it?
Yeah,
63? Oh, maybe. Yeah, okay.
Like issue
I could be off on the numbers. Yeah, all right.
But the main thing I got, because I thought I had this and I didn't, because in the beginning, and sort of towards when Nintendo Power first started, they would put out strategy, and we talked about this on episode 1, I think.
They put out 4 strategy guides. Yep, 4 strategy
that were still issues of Nintendo Power. Later on, the strategy guides, they didn't include it as an issue of Nintendo Power.
They were separate. You're right. It was
they were separate.
They like alternated every other month from like May to August, I think, which was weird, or like May to September or whatever like eight month stretch it was. Yeah.
So I have all of them except the Ninja Gaiden 2 guide, and I got that perfect condition. Well, maybe not so perfect, but it's in great condition.
So you also have the Final Fantasy strategy guide, then, don't you?
I think I do. I believe so.
That was definitely one of the 4. I think one of them was...
It was a sports title, football. I think it was football.
Yeah, NES Play Action Football, which was like weird. Why? I don't know why you need a strategy guide for that. It was a very simple game of football.
Because people needed to know how to play football, man. Come on.
And what was the 4th one?
All right. So I can tell you right now.
Okay.
Right? It was Super Mario Brothers 3.
SMB 3. Yep.
Ninja Gaiden 2.
Yep. That's it.
Final Fantasy. And Nintendo. It was like a 4-player football guide.
Right. Yeah. That was definitely NES Play Action Football, because you could use the 4 score on there and get up to 4 people playing, which was like kind of cool.
I got to double check the Final Fantasy one. I think I have it. If I don't, I will by the next episode.
Okay. That's great, man. It is in depth. So that was definitely 1990. Yeah, that makes sense. That was 1990. Magazine came out in 88. I want to say August of 88, I think. So they only had like a couple issues there. So these would have been about like issue 20 or so, 18 to 20, I think, is where they started, and they did like 4 of them. Yeah. I remember these. I had the subscription. I still had the Final Fantasy one, I think, up until the time that I left my parents' house. I'm pretty sure they're all in a landfill somewhere right now, rotting. So
that's probably
going to try and get them back. Yeah.
You love Final Fantasy, right? So if there's any Nintendo Power you want to buy, it's probably the strategy guide just to have.
It would be nice to own that for sure. It would be nice to own that. Mm-hmm. So what else did you get besides the magazines?
All right, so getting into games as a sort of like as a throw in. I finally got the WWE 2K20.
Oh
game.
My god,
it's terrible, but it's finally
game of the year.
It's finally cheap. I went in the GameStop the other day. I told you.
Well, how much cheap are we talking? Like $20?
Oh, I got it for like $15 at GameStop.
It's terrible though. You do realize this. It is like unplayable.
Every WWE 2K game since they started back in like 2011.
Right.
So 2010 and 2011 is one of those. So I have everyone. I got come on. I got to keep going with the collection, right? And then and it's not going to be a 2021. It's not going to be a 2K21 game.
You're right.
So I have that. Serious Sam. Now, for some reason, when I first got into collecting, Serious Sam was kind of expensive, at least for my taste at that point. I've gotten some Serious Sam games, but I finally got
the console version of Serious Sam, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But I had to get I have all the Serious Sam games that came out individually, and I didn't see any reason to get the Serious Sam collection for the Xbox 360. But I didn't know that Serious Sam 3 was sort of PC. I think it was Serious Sam 3 PC only. So the only way you can get it on console is if you get the collection. So I picked up Serious Sam the collection. The Serious Sam 4 just got announced at Devolver Digital's event for PC.
Yeah, I mean, 4 has had a lot of delays, and it's just kind of been in production for a long while, and I'm certain it's going to come out. I mean, they're like perfectly fine games. They kind of have that they have that original Doom quick action mindset to them where you just run around and just kill a bunch of shit, which is always fun. So it's just gonna, it's gonna take a little bit for the fourth one to come out.
All right. I got to say, we've come a long way with digital games, right? Because remember back in the day, digital games were, that's a digital game. That's a downloadable game, right? Downloadable games couldn't really be that good.
It had a stigma. It had its stigma.
But towards, as we went along, we found out that digital games are pretty good. And before Limited Run, I didn't even know this game existed. It is the best of PlayStation Network for the PS3. That is actually the name. The best of PlayStation Network. Now it says Volume 1,
and it's on a physical disc.
And it's on a physical disc, but to the best,
there you go.
Well, it has Volume 1, but to the best of my knowledge, there's no Volume 2.
That's funny. That's funny.
And it's 4 games.
What a success!
It's 4 games. It's sort of smaller games that would have been like sort of digital games or Xbox arcade games back in the day.
Sure.
When Vikings Attack, Sound Shapes, Tokyo Jungle, and get this, Fat Princess. Don't know if that name would hold weight nowadays. I haven't actually played this, but I thought this was interesting that I wanted to buy it because I don't really see this out in I don't see this out in the wild. I didn't really see it on eBay. I didn't see a lot of listings on eBay, so I picked this up at GameStop. Definitely got this.
Nice, good find.
Now, I like my my thoughts on the Sega Saturn. It's one of the most underrated consoles of all time.
It is your number one underrated console, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Games are kind of expensive if you want to get them complete in the long, plastic box.
Well, for sure, because they were so flimsy. They were terrible.
They were terrible, but they look so good, though. Come on, they look good.
They look cool. They look cool.
And they did protect the disc. They did its job. It did its job. It protected the disc, and it looked cool. It looks awesome on the shelf, gotta say.
I mean, sure does.
But if you're a collector, you want to have it and you want to play the game, you kind of get the overseas version if it's a little bit more expensive. So Clockwork Knights 2. I got Clockwork Knights, the original on the US version, and I have the Japanese version as well.
Right.
I thought I bought Clockwork Knights 2, the Japanese version, but the artwork looked the same as it looks the same. It's so weird.
American one.
Well, no, it looks the same as Clockwork Knight, the disc 1. They both look the same. The only difference is the main protagonist he has his fingers up as 2 in the cover.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The name of the game isn't 2 though. It's not Clockwork Knights 2. The second one is called Clockwork Knights. Well, the first one was like Clockwork Knights, like Pinocchio's Adventure, or whatever the protagonist name is.
I don't think it's Pinocchio, but I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, he's wood, and his nose is pretty long, so it could have been Pinocchio.
I mean, sure. Well, okay.
Well, I keep calling it Pinocchio. I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now.
All right.
But it's so weird that it doesn't have. I wonder what the story is behind it, because it's not called 2, and the only difference in the cover is that he has the 2 fingers up.
Right.
So I thought that was so weird. But I finally got the, getting stuff imported from Japan right now is super delayed. I ordered this months ago and it finally came in.
Okay. Well, nice. So you want to know what this guy's name is?
What's
his full name? Because you were very close, Dan. You were very close.
I was close. Okay, all right. So Pinocchio, I didn't get out of nowhere.
Okay.
It was close to Pinocchio.
I will tell you how close you are. His full name is Sir Tangara de Pepperochu the Third.
Pepperochu. There we go.
AKA
Adventure.
Pepper. So nothing to do with Pinocchio. Pepper. Pepper the Toy Soldier is his nickname.
It starts with a P. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it does, and that's about where it begins and ends.
That's the P. That's all I need. Boom.
Uh-huh.
Pinocchio. He looked like Pinocchio in the cover, though. I will say that.
A little bit, yeah.
And I got Mega Man 03 on the Game Boy Advance.
Ooh.
Got it for a really good price. The cover, I got it loose. Just the label's a little messed up. Now all I got to do is get the 4th one, and I have all 4 games.
There you go.
So what about you? Did you get any good pickups?
Well,
since the last show?
Because we're recording in the time of the zombie apocalypse, it makes things a little bit difficult. I'm always on the hunt. Don't get it twisted. Every single day, I go on all the sites. I add all the things up. The Craigslist, the Letgo, the eBay. Just trying to find that good price. I only got one game of note this past month, and that is Tetris 2 for the Game Boy.
You're trying to go for this full Tetris collection, huh?
Yes, I'm trying to get all the reasonably priced, attainable Tetrises. The Genesis Tetris can go die in a hole. It technically wasn't even released, so it doesn't really count as an official release. But yes, I am on my way to getting every Tetris game. Tetris 2 for the Game Boy, complete in box. It's very good quality. I got it in a protector, so it's looking real nice on my shelf. So very excited about that. It's the same as the Super Nintendo one, same as the Nintendo one, just with the lovely 4-color monochrome graphics. So I think the last time I talked about the Super Nintendo version of Tetris 2, which is awesome. I got that complete in box, so I'm feeling good. I think I also have the Nintendo one too. I think I have all 3 already. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So yeah. And that kind of leads us into our next segment, then. The
Triple R.
The Triple R.
Remaster, remake, or recycle.
And my game is a Tetris game. A game I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you haven't heard of or played this game before. Because it was never released outside of Japan, as far as I know. It definitely wasn't released in North America. Came out on the Super Famicom. And it's Tetris Battle Gaiden.
You're right. I never heard of it before.
This game is amazing, and I want to remaster this puppy. I want a new version on the Switch. Make it happen. It's so good. And let me tell you why, Dan. Let me tell you why. So this like Tetris Battle Gaiden game, right? So you know what Tetris is, right? You got the 7 different pieces. I think it's 7, and you have to make lines out of it, right? You make 1 line, you make 2 lines of double, 3 lines of triple, 4 lines is a Tetris. It's addictive, it's fun, and everybody loves it. All right. So what this game is head-to-head Tetris. So you're playing against either a computer opponent or you can play against a friend. It's got head-to-head mode, and the unique thing, or one of the unique things, is that you guys play from the same well of pieces, right? So there's like a little thing in the middle, and it shows you like the next 4 pieces, and you show you the piece that's coming up, and then the next piece, and the next piece. So whoever drops their piece first gets what the next piece is. So if there's a straight piece, right, and I'm playing you, and I drop my like S piece first, I get the straight piece. Right? So you're kind of like rushing to get the pieces that you want, which is kind of interesting. And then the other thing is that you choose characters, and which character you choose determines what special moves you have, right? So every, like, I think it's like every 7th piece has a little, like, ball on there, right? A little power pellet or whatever. So if you make a line that has one of those things and you get, like, an ability point up to 4, and you can do 4 different levels of attacks to your opponent or to help your side out, right? There's, like, ones that'll, like literally, like, fax your side of the screen over to theirs. There's ones that'll like freeze their pieces or turn them into bricks, or it's crazy. It's crazy. I can't explain it any better.
Well, what's the difference between, because this is a battle Tetris game. What's the difference between this and like Tetris 99?
Well, Tetris 99 is pretty crazy. Like, from like a traditional Tetris game, like you make lines and then those lines appear on your opponent's side. So if you make a single, it's usually worth nothing. If you make a double, I think it puts like 1 line on their side. A triple will put 2 lines on their side, right? So you're basically putting garbage stuff on their field, which happens in this one. But you also can do special moves, right? So if you have 4 little power pellets, like you can do a like massive damage spell, right? If you play as like the pumpkin, like he'll like literally blow a hole in your playing field and put all these like little holes everywhere. So like your battlefield is Swiss cheese, all while like if you're doing a double, puts lines on his side. So like that's like the big difference. And then the other thing is that typically you don't share pieces. But in this one you do, so you're pulling from the same pool, so you don't get the same pieces as the other person. So that's the other thing about it, and that's like what kind of makes it unique. Tetris 99 is a whole nother beast. I don't know how to accurately describe Tetris 99 except it's a battle royale version of Tetris. So you're facing against 99 other people vying for that number 1 spot, and it just comes down to like who you're attacking, right? So there are no special power-ups or anything like that. It's just you can create more garbage for other people, and you can kind of choose who you're attacking. I think you can actually go around and say, I want to attack this person specifically, but it's like chaos. It's a little, it can be a little too chaotic, but I still love it. Yeah.
I played it one time. I made it. I think I was in the teens. I made it to the teens.
That's pretty good, man. I can't break that number 2 spot.
I was like 14. I was like number 14.
That's really good. That's real. I got the spot 2. I don't know how many times, but I never got that number 1 spot.
All right. Well, so you want this to be remastered on all platforms, but you would play it on the Switch because this is like a game that you would really love on the go.
Well, I mean, the thing of it is, it came out for the Super Nintendo. And I feel like the Switch is the way to go. Sure, like put it on Xbox, PlayStation, like I don't care. Like put it out across the board. But yeah, I would definitely play it on the go. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, for my triple R,
yeah,
I'm gonna go remake this time.
All right.
And I'm gonna go the original Twisted Metal on the PS1.
Ooh, classic. This is one of the games that made the PlayStation, right?
I mean, Sweet Tooth is iconic with PlayStation, right? That's right. It's one of their. When you see Sweet Tooth, you think of PlayStation. It was right along with Crash as far as like that they were their mascot in the beginning, back in those early days. Mm-hmm. I really like this game. Well, rewind. I played the heck out of Twisted Metal demo back in the day.
Oh, right, with like the 2 characters in the one stage.
Kids, if you're listening, back in the day, we had demo discs.
Yeah, physical demo discs.
We had physical demo discs that we played like they were the game, and we beat the crap out. We played the crap out of it. I must have played this like a million times, just like I played Crash Bandicoot the first level a million times. I mean, it's really just think of the best way I could think of this is think of like. What's that soccer game with cars that's out? That's going to go free to play now.
Oh, Rocket League. Rocket League. Yeah.
Think of Rocket League with guns in a Halo map, right? Like or the GTA map.
Yeah,
that's essentially what it is, and it's fantastic. I never really got to play Twisted Metal 3. I played a little bit of 2. I would
2
love
was
to
great.
see.
Yeah.
I would love a Resident Evil 2 style remake of the original Twisted Metal game.
Oh, like complete new next gen graphics and all that, and okay.
Give me a realistic arena, like on the streets, because you can have an arena because they do have some of those games have like an arena base too, where you're in a real arena. But give me the real streets, bridges and buildings, destructible too. Maybe not as destructible like in Crackdown or what Crackdown said it would be, or but I would love to have that, and definitely remake Sweet Tooth into even crazier design, and you can put out like a special edition with the whole ice cream truck. That would be fire. I would love that. I would buy that.
Literal fire because his head's flaming.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
Yeah, man. I wholeheartedly support this.
PS5 coming 2023.
Oh my
Book
god.
it.
Oh my god.
Book it.
Well, it hasn't been. The last one they put out was on the PS3, I think.
The last one they put out was on PS3, and that was like in the middle of the PS3 life cycle. So
it was just called Twisted Metal, and it did not do well.
We haven't seen Twisted Metal in years, and that's a franchise that's dormant that can come back.
That's 100% right. I get behind that.
And we haven't seen it since 2012, so it's been 8 years, almost a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a franchise that they could bring that skipped a whole generation, right? Skipped the whole PS4, so it can definitely come back in the PS5 era.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been enough time.
So, all right, why don't we take a break here? When we come back, we'll get into the games we've been playing on our backlog. And we're back. All right, let's get into the games we've been playing lately. Let's get into a deep dive into our backlog. Dave, what game have you been playing? What retro game have you been playing?
Dan, I have been playing a certifiable hidden gem. Little game that came out on the Xbox 360.
Is that phrase again?
I know. It's a great phrase. A little game that came out on the Xbox 360, came out on the PS3, and eventually came out for the PC in a kind of complete edition pack, which also came out on the PS3, and that was a couple years later. And that game is Enslaved: Journey to the West.
Ah, Ninja Theory game.
That's right. Which is now under the Microsoft umbrella. They're making great games for them now, so it's interesting. Developed by Ninja Theory, published by Bandai Namco, on the aforementioned platforms 360, PS3, and eventually the PS3. It is a 3D action platformer. And I played this on the Xbox One with the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility. So it was no mess, no fuss. I put the game in, installed the game, off and running. Now, a couple interesting things about this game is that Bandai Namco wanted this to be like
just making up companies.
Bandai Namco wanted this to be like a series, right? Because there was apparently a sequel that was talked about or in the works, but the even though it was critically praised, the commercial success, not so great. A lot of people didn't like it. They didn't jive with it, or they didn't even hear about it. Like me, I didn't know it existed till like way later, until the Xbox One was out. And everyone's like, "Yeah, check this game out. It's great." And it does look really cool, right? It is very much a game that is like steeped in Japanese mythos, even though you may not necessarily, kind of think that by looking at it, but it is Journey to the West. It does tell the story of the Monkey King, right? Mm-hmm. Just like how they're kind of doing with the new Horizon, right? The Horizon Journey West or whatever it is, or Horizon Due West or whatever that subtitle is. It's just that. It's the tale of somebody, in this case Aloy, coming to the West. In this case it's the Monkey King, who you're not like a straight up monkey, but you do have like monkey like abilities and some tendencies, and but you are very much a human prisoner who in the kind of opening steps of the game, you are trying to get out of a crashing plane that's on fire. So, like, That's kind of cool.
It's
right?
like a prisoner. It's like a prisoner plane, right? Like a plane that's carrying like nothing but prisoners and slaves.
Yeah. So like you get through that opening bit, which is like the tutorial, but it is very high stakes, right? Because you're flying through the air and you basically crash land in New York, which is like, hey, that's kind of super cool. And you are with your compatriot Trip. For better or worse, you guys are linked together, and you kind of go on a journey together. So you play as the Monkey King, and you have to kind of like guide Trip around and solve puzzles and whatever, and make like a way for her to get through. Like, it's kind of like Eco, if you think about the princess from Eco. She's got a little bit more agency, but she's not fully autonomous, so you have to kind of like open up pathways to get her around. So that like is kind of cool. Like gameplay is good. It was definitely fun. But I thought it was a little bit rough around the edges in some spots. Some of the kind of platforming bits and whatnot were a little bit there were some parts of the game where it was like there were like landmines on the ground and you had to kind of like navigate around them, and some of like the checkpoints were a little bit brutal. They took you back a little bit too far. So I had fun with the game, though, I have to say. Like playing the game, I thought was like pretty solid, and that kind of got me through the atmosphere and the whatever else. So
does the graphics hold up today?
The graphics are beautiful. That is actually a very good question. They look great. Like they have a lot of bloom. They are very bright and vibrant and lush. To kind of like talk about that a little further, right? You do crash land in New York, and it's in the future, as far as I can tell. So there's like been this event that causes New York to be like in shambles. So you see all like the buildings and the whatever, but it's all like overgrown with like foliage and trees and just kind of nature, right?
Like post-apocalyptic kind of.
Yeah. So like less on the deserty post-apocalyptic and more on like nature is going to come back because everything's kind of destroyed. So I think that was like kind of neat, right? So you're going through like office buildings and whatever else, but then there's like green below you and trees, right? Instead of like the concrete in the ground. So, but yeah, like it had a lot of bloom. It was really like really nice. Like I was very impressed. I was very impressed with it. Like in terms of, I guess I kind of already went over the story, right? You're basically playing the Monkey King in this case, which is kind of like an old like Eastern fable, I guess, from back in the day, right? They've made they made a lot of games based off that, like Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, kind of tells the story of the Monkey King, right? Goku is like the monkey with the tail and all that. So they've kind of done this in like numerous iterations. But it was kind of cool. Like the banter back and forth between you and Trip was pretty solid. It's definitely kind of funny. Monkey, as he's known in the game, kind of has a bit of an attitude. So like that's kind of funny and very like expressionful, right? Everyone's got good like animations to them, so it kind of like brings you in.
So I actually played a little bit of the game as well. I played it on the original PS3, one of the PS3 version.
Right.
I played it like maybe 2-3 hours of it. It didn't really capture me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, in the Monkey King, I didn't think he had good personality. I mean,
really?
People talked about Kratos, like before God of War of PS4 days, the old Kratos, just sort of one-track mind, no real depth to his personality.
He was very kind of like, ugh, I'm just gonna beat you down. Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of got those vibes from this game too. Like I didn't really care. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't make me care. I didn't see any depth to his personality. So
interesting. All right. Well, that's
it just didn't capture me. Mm-hmm. What did you think about sort of like the sound and the music? I thought personally, like used to playing like Ghost of Tsushima,
right?
I hear the wind blowing and I hear the birds chirping, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's that new next gen thing. I don't think that from my recollection, I don't even think we have that in this game.
It's like the soundscape and the audio production is definitely not on the same level. We've come a long way. It was definitely good. Like it fit, You know, I wasn't like, yeah, I have to play that Enslaved soundtrack again. But it fit. It fit for what it was. Sound effects were good. You know, it had some surround sound and whatever else. So, nothing like really to write home about, I guess. I will say this: I did not beat the game, but I definitely do want to continue playing the game because I think really like as a whole, it kind of had a lot of charm for me. I thought it was kind of nice. You're playing in like this ravaged New York. It's a scene you don't normally see, right? If you play in New York, it's typically going to be like, okay, it's a big metro city, and you're running around.
Unless you're playing the original Division.
Unless you're playing the Division, yeah. True. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was like kind of unique. I didn't know what I was getting into. Like you have to try this game out, play this game. All right, I'll play this game. And Metal Jesus is like hidden gem, play this game. So I'm like, all right, I'll go ahead and play this game. I didn't know what I was in for. I was like, wow, like you're in New York, right? And it's all like destroyed, and you're playing the Monkey King. I was like, okay, I can get behind this.
Well, you sound enthusiastic about this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously, it's a hidden gem. It's something that you didn't even cross your radar.
Yeah.
What did you like least about playing the game?
Well,
tell me a con.
Some of the gameplay, like I said before, it feels a little like late 2000s, early 2010s. Like it's kind of like, okay, I guess like the best way I can describe it is like go back to playing the first Uncharted on the PlayStation 3, not the remaster, right? It's good. It's got a good story, and like, you know, there's a lot of really good bits about it, but the gameplay is a little
really hold up.
Exactly. There's a little bit of this here. There's some weird puzzles, like, you know, there was like a part where you're in like this minefield and you have to kind of get through it, and you know, the checkpoint system, the way they have it set up is a little bit rough and archaic. So you kind of have to get beyond some of those things, right? And it's like it's a little bit rigid in like where you can go and what you can do. There's kind of like one set path with like small little offshoots to get like some more gems or whatever. So that could definitely use a little bit of a polish.
Who owns the IP? Like,
I'm assuming it's a Bandai Namco thing, right? I'm assuming they have it.
Well, they published the game. I don't know who. I mean, could there be an Enslaved 2 by Microsoft since Ninja Theory's in-house now, right? Microsoft Studios.
If they own the rights to it, 100% they could. But because it didn't do so well, I think it's just kind of going to be the beginning and end is going to be that. Although they did put DLC out for it, right? You can play as the Pigsy. He gets his own adventure. Yeah. You play as a anthropomorphic pig, which, you know, fits within the game world. I believe, I don't know if he's the villain, but he is, I believe, a villain in the game, if I remember correctly. So you get to play like DLC as him, which is apparently like super, super awesome and super fun. That is in the complete version, or you can get the DLC, I think, for $10. Which feels like a lot for a game that is $15 on the eShop right now, or whatever, the Xbox Game Store.
They're still selling the DLC?
Yeah, well, of course. Why would you not sell the DLC?
Oh, wow.
But they're not selling it at a proper reduced price. They're still selling it at like $10. So okay. Go figure. I don't know. You put it down to like $5? Yeah, I'll buy it. $10? It's a little high.
I don't even want it at $5. Give it to me at $3.99.
Yeah, right? Like it's like comparative to what, like the game was $60, right, when it came out. The DLC at most would have been like $20, and even that would have been a little bit high, right? That's like what, like 1/3 the price, right? What's like 1/3 of 15? That's $5. There you go. That's the sweet spot. That's where it should be priced.
I'll still do it for $2.99.
Well, all right. So that is the game that I played.
What would you rate it on the Dave scale?
I'm glad you asked, Dan. I'm glad.
And just as a recap, you know, this is Dave's personal scale that we just sort of been using to rate games.
It's scientifically proven, Dan. All right, it's a 4-step scale ranging from trash. Specifically said in that manner because it is that bad of a game, Two.
You need four. You need 4 of the 5 S's in trash.
There you go. There you go. That's right. You got to really like extend it out all the way to fantastic, because the game is just like great, right? A fantastic game would be Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey or the original Super Mario Brothers. Those games are fantastic. They hold up. They are timeless. This game.
The Order 1886.
There you go. The only game to be nominated 3 years in a row
for Game of the Year.
So this game is not trash by any means. This game is not fantastic either. It falls somewhere in the middle. I'm going to give it an on the high end. That is a 3 out of 4.
Oh, I legit thought you would say like on the low end.
I mean, no, it's definitely not that bad. It's kind of got some stuff that like really shows its age. So you look at it and you go, yeah, this is the game of that time, right? The graphics aren't that indicator, but everything else is kind of like, yeah, the gameplay really shows its age.
All right,
but it's still fun. Like it got me through. I definitely want to keep playing it. So
okay.
So what about you, Dan? I mean, that's my game.
All right, so my retro game that I played this month was Little Big Planet, the original. I played it on the original PS3, and it came out October 27th, 2008. It came from a little studio you may have heard of, Media Molecule. I always screw up their name when I say it.
Media Molecule. There you go. I got it.
It's a tongue twister for me for some reason.
Media
Molecule. It's a tongue twister for me. I can't even say inevitable. There you
go. There you go. Sound it out. You'll get there.
I gotta say it really slow because I can't say it fast.
That's fine.
I can't say it fast. There's certain words that you just can't say.
I understand.
Published by Sony. It's a puzzle platformer, simple puzzle platformer. It introduced the world to Sackboy. Another.
Yes.
This started out on the PS3, so this was sort of, it had 3 games. Well, it had 4 games actually, because it actually had Little Big Planet racing, that kart racer.
Oh, the kart racer, right? Yeah.
And technically, we're getting a recycle of this game for the PS5,
right?
Because we're getting Sackboy in the Adventures of Sackboy, which is like a 3D puzzle platform. All right, so gameplay still holds up. It's awesome. It's puzzle platforming game, and I love my platforming games, and it's great. It's not too difficult. When you have those like Super Meat Boy, you have those games that are just like overly difficult. Sort of NES style difficult, where you're like, that's not fair.
Yeah. Right.
That's not fair.
Right.
I didn't feel that in this game.
Okay.
At any time when I missed a platform or I failed a puzzle, I didn't think it was my fault. I knew I just needed to do better, or I needed to figure it out. Right. So,
well, how was the presentation? Is it 2D, 3D? Like, I kind of forget.
No, it's sort of like a 2D, 3D element platformer.
Okay.
Right. The biggest thing when this first came out is that you can build your own stages. Right.
Yeah,
this is before
huge.
Minecraft.
That was huge. And you could do like somebody built Tetris with that game engine.
Yes.
It's insane. Like you can set up all these like different types of like logic things, and like this interacts with this, and levers and pulleys, and like the physics are, well, from what I remember, the physics are like great in this game.
Well, this was the start of Media Molecule doing Dreams, right? Like Dreams that just came out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And somebody made a Mario game in Dreams, and they had to take it down.
Somebody, a lot of people made copyrighted content in the original Little Big Planet, and they had to take that down too, because we can't, even though it's user created stuff. Who knows?
Well, I didn't really get into any of the world building, level creating, because that's not my jam. I didn't do it. I didn't do it with Minecraft either. But I will say, the level design gets crazier and more difficult as you progress. As it should in a sort of puzzle platformer. But fantastic. But again, it gets super hard. It gets harder sort of at the the last couple of levels. But again, nothing that you can't beat if you just put in the time and sort of memorize what jumps you have to do in the puzzles.
Sure.
So this game, loads of collectibles. Loads of collectibles.
Right. There you go.
Way too much.
Good for the completionist in you, if that's your jam.
If that's your jam, I mean, listen, I love the aesthetics. You know, it's cute and quirky with the cardboard cutout sort of cars and backgrounds. And, you know, you can put up stickers. Mm-hmm. And if you put stickers in the right place, so you have to look and say, oh, this is a sticker of a flower, and you have a cardboard cutout of a flower. That's the flower shape. You know, you put that in, and you can get, you know, so a lot of different collectibles and points and stuff.
I see.
My biggest issue with the game is sort of jumping in the background and back to the foreground. Like, it's just jumping planes is just an issue. It sometimes when it's like, oh, you gotta jump in the background and run in the background, but I'm trying to jump in the background and I'm jumping into the pit because it's not seeing that I want to jump. I guess the detection of this is where I can go and move back in the background and then come back in the foreground is just not great. I fell in the pit several times when I was supposed to jump in the background, and I'm trying to jump in the background, and I'm like, why aren't you jumping in the background? So those were my frustrating moments. Luckily, they're not really while you're sort of platforming. It's sort of like off to the side if you want to do, do some collectibles, or if you want to sort of, move up the stage. It's not where you are. I have to do a tough platform where I had to jump and move to the background at the same time. I don't know if they're going to have that in Little Big Planet 2, which I do want to play at some point later this year. But that would be my biggest complaint. Besides that, the menu, it's a little convoluted. It's all over the place just because they have a lot of stuff they want to show you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that kind of happens with age about these games. Sometimes, they don't know the best way to present the UI properly, right? And then you look at I bet when you go to 2 and 3, right, it's like, oh wow, this is like a lot cleaner. They did a lot of small things to make it look better. So I think that's kind of inevitable.
I mean, the graphics, whimsical, bright, and unique look. Definitely, with the cheerful music and great and catchy sounds.
It kind of fits the whole, everything kind of comes together, yeah?
This is Sony's Yoshi's Island, or Yoshi's Woolly World.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Sure, right.
And I definitely think this holds up today. I mean, I had a great time with it, even though, the menu system is a little all over the place, and jumping in the background and the foreground could be a little frustrating, just on simple, in simple stages. But I definitely enjoyed playing this game, and I powered through, and I really wanted to. And the boss battles aren't difficult at all, so definitely recommend it. I definitely would recommend this game.
Nice. Okay.
If I had to rate this on the Dave scale,
that is the most important thing, Dan. What would you rate this on the Dave scale?
I would give it on the high end. Definitely.
And the high end. Wow.
Definitely.
We were both 3 out of 4s on our game. Okay. So worth checking out, but it's got its issues.
It's worth checking out. I'm actually curious to play Little Big Planet 2 and 3 to see if they fix some of this stuff. I don't think I don't think the menu system has changed much, to be honest. I don't think they would have, but I definitely think they tweaked the mechanics, the platform mechanics, and jumping between. Again, my biggest issue with this game is jumping in the background and foreground. It's just, a lot of places where I'm like, I'm falling into the pit for no reason.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, all right. I think that's going to wrap up episode 3 of the Saturday Morning Retro Podcast. It has been a wild ride, but we definitely appreciate you guys sticking with us and listening to all the episodes, the regular Rated G show, the Saturday Morning Retro episodes. We're very happy that you guys are listening, that you guys are doing all the good stuff that you do. If you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon at Rated G for Gamers. And one final note before we go, that we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. Head on over to gamingpodcastalliance.com and check out all of the fine podcasts featured on there if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.